watching a rally from Madison Square Garden with former President Donald Trump, where we are hearing scores of lies from the former president. He has come on stage and said a number of things that are just not true, starting with a number of things on immigration. He repeated his lies that there was no relief money for victims of the hurricanes in North Carolina and Florida and other states, because he claims that the government gave it all to migrants and that there was none left. That is patently untrue. FEMA had to set up a website to debunk that, and some people have not gone and gotten help that they needed because of those lies. He also repeated another lie that in Springfield, that thousands of immigrants were dumped in Springfield, Missouri illegally. In fact, the city website says that Haitian immigrants are there legally under the Immigration Parole Program, and that they independently chose to move there. They were not sent by any program. Again, we have heard number of lies. He also started talking about the fact that he thinks Kamala Harris would put a draft in place. It's worth noting there is no active draft in place. He has also talked about the economy, when a number of economists have pointed out that the tariffs that Trump continues to talk about and want to put into place would harm the American economy and truly harm American consumers, who would see the prices of goods go up, and that there are real concerns about what those economic policies could lead to. We do have Kristen Holmes there, who is inside